Imagine willingly putting a needle into your eyeball, not for surgery, not to save your vision, but for aesthetic. Actual ink injected into your eyeball sounds extreme, right? But for some people, that decision ended in blindness, chronic pain, and lives permanently changed.
Any advice for people who would want to get their eyeballs tattooed?
My advice is don't get your eyeballs tattooed.
I went blind for 3 weeks when I got my eyes tattooed.
I wouldn't get my eyeballs tattooed again for a couple reasons. One, the sun hurts. My pupils don't dilate the way they normally would. And there's a lot of questions about my eyes.
This lady tattooed the whites of her eyes purple and then lost her vision.
What in the eyeball hell is going on? She done colored her eyeball. And her 7-year-old daughter said, Mommy, please don't tattoo your eyeball. You're going to go blind. And she still did it and she went blind.
The whites of your eyes permanently dyed black or red or neon blue. No filters, no contacts, actual ink injected into your eye. And somehow, this became a trend. What started as an underground body modification slowly evolved into one of the internet's most shocking forms of self-expression. But behind the viral images is a reality most people never see, because for some people, sclera tattoos didn't end in compliments. They ended in chronic pain, emergency surgeries, permanent vision damage, and in some cases, blindness. Today, we're talking about the disturbing reality of sclera tattoos, how they became normalized online, why people are risking their eyesight for aesthetic, and what happens when body modification crosses a line your body can't recover from. But first, what exactly is a sclera tattoo?
This is called scleral tattooing, where you take a needle and you inject dye into the eyeball.
It's not actually an eyeball tattoo, it's an eyeball injection. So they take a needle and they inject it a certain amount of times all around the eyeball, up and down, and then some parts have still white in them, which I think looks really cool. It's like kind of cloudy looking. These are my real eyes. I got 6 needles in each eye, I believe.
Unlike a normal tattoo, where ink is placed into layers of skin, sclera tattooing involves injecting dye into one of the most delicate organs in the human body. And the thing that makes this even more terrifying, there is no medically approved procedure for cosmetic sclera tattooing, no official safety standards, no standardized training, no legal certification process in many places, meaning a lot of these procedures exist in a legal gray area. Some body modification artists learn through experimentation, others through underground communities, and some had absolutely no medical background at all. And this is where the stories start changing from transformation to regret. Watch this.
The reason why I regret my eyeball tattoos: number 1, I regret not having done the proper research to find the right artist. Number 2, resulting of that, I regret that I went through the procedure with this artist that fucked up my eyes. Number 3, I regret not going to a doctor earlier after my artist ghosted me, because we could have had some damage control here. Number 4, I regret it because they're not turning out the way I wanted, because the first artist, because of lack of research, fucked it up.
And she's not alone.
22 when I got my eyeballs first tattooed. I've had them three times tattooed. When I was 22 and I got my eyes done the first time, it went very wrong and I ended up with a botched procedure. He ended up hitting my retina in both of my eyeballs. So I don't know if you know how our eyeballs work, but they're like onions. They have layers. So the 1 millimeter syringe is very thin and it's very minuscule, but it's only supposed to go into the second layer of your eyeball. So he hit my my retina, so the very back of my eyeball, and I was told that I was never supposed to see again. And if I didn't operate right then and there, on the 3rd day I went to a hospital. The doctors came running. I couldn't see anything. I had blue patches because I was crying blue for 2 days, like pure blue ink. So the patches that I was wearing on my eyes were just seeping blue, and I had these doctors just come running towards me. My mom was guiding me in the emergency, and they just said, "What the fuck is going on?" My mom's like, "She's tattooed her eyeballs," and they just went dead silent, and they're like, "May we please see?" They all gasped, and the head doctor said, "If you don't operate right here and right now, then you're going to lose your sight forever."
And for some people like Alexandra, they weren't that lucky.
A girl was blinded in a botched eyeball tattoo attempt. So this girl, 25-year-old Alexandra Sadowska from Poland, wanted to be like her favorite celebrities, musicians, artists, and get an eyeball tattoo. Why? I do not know. Anyway, the guy didn't know what he was doing and started tattooing her eye. and she lost completely. One eye had to be completely removed, and they put a prosthetic, and the other one, she only sees shadows, and she's losing that too.
And this is the part the internet usually skips, the aftermath, because when people post sclera tattoos online, you usually only see the finished result, the dramatic photos. You rarely see the recovery process or the panic. Some reported intense pain almost immediately after the injections. Others noticed swelling that wouldn't go down. Some couldn't tolerate light anymore. And in some cases, the ink itself began moving unpredictably beneath the eye surface. Imagine realizing the pigment inside your eyeball is spreading incorrectly, and there's almost nothing doctors can do to reverse it. And what's heartbreaking is that many people who experience complications genuinely believe they would be okay, because social media creates a dangerous illusion. If enough people post something confidently, our brains start seeing it as normal, even when it's objectively dangerous. But social media made tattooing your eyeballs look casual, almost harmless, while completely hiding the reality behind the procedure.
It was like a really roller coaster of feelings inside before and after. Before I was pretty nervous about the procedure, and the morning after I go to the mirror and whoa, who is that? Try to get used it. Ciao ciao. Before I had like a nice blue eyes, and now I have an awesome blue eyes.
I've had my eyeballs tattooed for about 4 years now. And something I've learned, only way somebody can lose their vision after getting their eyeballs tattooed is if they get it done by somebody that's not as experienced as the guy I got mine done by.
One woman reportedly experienced severe complications after getting ink injected into her eyes, and eventually she required emergency medical treatment. And honestly, that's one of the scariest part about this entire trend. Your eyes are not designed to heal from trauma the same way skin does. People underestimate how delicate vision actually is until something threatens it, and suddenly the aesthetic doesn't matter anymore. Because once you're sitting in a hospital wondering whether you're going blind, nothing else feels important.
I will say the healing period was a little intense. My eyes swelled outside of my head, and I had light sensitivity to the point that I technically thought I was blind on the 4th day.
This is all the look. Yeah, obviously another thing is like light sensitivity. Like I realized that with the white eye, like the sun doesn't reflect that much in your eye, but with the black one, it really does. Like before I could stare perhaps for a few minutes in the sun, now is a big no. Now it's a no.
Can you go blind? Yes, of course you can. It's your eye. If you do it right, it certainly shouldn't be an issue. But at the same time, it's a relatively new body modification, and we're still not quite sure of long-term effect.
So my DMs have been filling up with this photo right here. This is a picture of a person who tried to get a scleral tattoo. We don't recommend this at all, but people still do it. Can you imagine that? So now you're seeing a photo where there was a complication. This patient had a lot of things going on and developed a scleritis as well, as you can see in the photo. The problem with scleral tattooing is they're trying to go in the space between the conjunctiva and the sclera, but obviously they may not inject it in the correct spot and cause complications.
Not only are the risks and complications enormous, this surgery is illegal in most states.
I have so many people asking me about eyeball tattoos, and unfortunately down here in Florida, it's illegal. It's illegal to even talk about it. I don't really talk about the eyeball tattoos and the implants because I don't want people being misled, and I don't want people doing it and doing it wrong, and then all of a sudden they go blind or have problems.
One thing I noticed while researching sclera tattoos is how disconnected the online image is from the actual reality. Online, these tattoos are presented almost like fashion accessories, comments flooding in saying things like, "This looks sick," "You look unreal." But real life isn't edited. Real life is doctor visits, pain medication, panic, fear, complications. Real life is waking up terrified because your vision suddenly looks blurry. And I think that disconnect exists with a lot of internet trends now. We've become so used to consuming aesthetics that we rarely stop to think about the physical reality behind them, especially younger audiences, even when medical professionals are literally begging people not to do it. But while social media glamorizes the aesthetic, doctors are warning people about the risks behind it.
I do not recommend you do it. There was a case report back in 2017 where a 24-year-old male underwent that procedure. He went blind and eventually lost his eyeball.
Scleral tattoos can lead to severe infections that can literally cause the eye to melt, and also severe inflammatory reactions to the dye that can destroy the eye. Here's my advice: never get scleral tattoos. The risks far outweigh any aesthetic benefit. If you're experiencing these symptoms, see an eye specialist immediately.
This is what happens when you tattoo your eyes. And so there's been a couple of case reports of it where, the ink can actually end up getting into the inside of the eye, and then the patient has a severe reaction to that ink, and then they can end up losing their sight and their vision in a permanent way. And so, I realize for some people it's a way of life, but I feel like maybe you should kind of draw the line at vision. If you like your sight and you like to be able to see, you should maybe not get your eyeballs tattooed.
For years now, eye doctors around the world have been sounding the alarm about sclera tattoos, and what's terrifying is how consistent their warnings are. Many ophthalmologists describe the procedure as unpredictable and medically dangerous because there simply isn't enough research on what happens when tattoo ink stays inside the eye long term. Think about that. People are permanently injecting pigment into one of the most sensitive parts of the body without fully understanding the long-term consequences. Some doctors have warned that even sterile ink can trigger severe inflammatory reactions. Others explain that if the needle penetrates too deeply, it can puncture the eyeball itself. That means the procedure can accidentally damage internal eye structures responsible for vision, and once that happens, emergency surgery might not even save the eye. And one of the biggest issues doctor mentioned is the lack of regulation. Anyone can claim to know how to do these procedures online. No guarantee the tools are sterile, no guarantee the pigments are safe for ocular tissue. Even the human body itself can react unpredictably. Severe swelling, leaking ink, infections, chronic pain, and complete loss of vision. Imagine permanently damaging your ability to see. From an aesthetic trend, the internet moved on from 6 months later. That's the reality doctors are trying to warn people about. But online, warnings rarely go viral the same way aesthetics do. But a lot of people have been wondering, why do people get tattoos? And honestly, the answer isn't so black and white.
But if you really just look why somebody got a tattoo, it's all the same, by the way. It's always attention seeking. There's no reason in the world to have a tattoo other than you want attention. If they don't know what I look like, from the top of my head to my toes is tattooed. Anything about tattooing, I know. You only get tattoos for attention. The question is, what type of attention? You're not supposed to judge a book by its cover. I disagree. I think you have to. How else are you going to protect yourself? How else are you going to go places in life? If you want a job in finance or banking or stocks, you're going to look at him and say, that man's probably homeless. Then you see a guy walking out of a finance building wearing a nice suit and expensive watch, and you're going to judge him and go, I'm going to ask him for the job. You have to judge people. When it comes to tattoos, especially face tattoos, again, nobody's life is going good, and they said a face tattoo will make it better. I know people, and I'd like to think of myself as one, who had a broken brain of sorts, got my face tattooed. All these years later, with tremendous work and effort, I've recovered from that train of thought, that type of thinking. It's super rare that happens. Most people, their lives are terrible while they get a face tattoo. Their lives stay terrible forever.
This might be true for some people, but for many, this isn't just about attention. It's about identity. Extreme body modification can become deeply personal, a way to reclaim control over your appearance, a way to reject societal expectations, a way to transform yourself into the version you feel inside. And in online spaces where aesthetics are tied closely to identity, transformation becomes addictive. And social media blurs that line constantly, because online, pain can look artistic, risk can look aesthetic. Even suffering can be romanticized if it's filmed well enough. And honestly, that says a lot about internet culture right now. And I think sclera tattoos represent something bigger than just body modification. They reveal how internet culture changes our relationship with ourselves. People build entire aesthetics around being unrecognizable from normal society. And there's nothing inherently wrong with self-expression. But there's a point where self-expression starts competing with physical safety. And that's where this conversation becomes uncomfortable. Because when someone risks blindness for aesthetic, that says something deeper about the environment we're living in. And for those who are still considering this procedure, I feel that this guy has a pretty solid advice. So watch this.
So a lot of people have been asking me about my eye tattoos, and so I thought I'd do just like a little FAQ and answer a few of the common questions as to what it is to get and have eye tattoos. So here we go. First one. Can you go blind? Yes, of course you can. It's your eye. If you do it right, it certainly shouldn't be an issue. But at the same time, it's a relatively new body modification, and we're still not quite sure of long-term effect. The next question I've gotten a lot is, does it fade? Like, is it similar to like how, lip tattoos often kind of just disappear after a few years? No. You can't get rid of it. It's there for life. It's not going anywhere. It's once it's there, it's there. And that is a decision that you really have to commit to. Next one being, shouldn't I just go to Luna Cobra? I hear that he invented eye tattoos. For one, no he didn't. Eye tattoos were developed at AhmadCon when Shannon Larott was still alive, and it was a mix of effort from a lot of different people, and Luna Cobra has lied to a lot of people and experimented on a lot of people without them knowing. And I wouldn't suggest going to most body mod artists because there's not really a standard in treatment. There's a huge risk with all of this, and that's something that you kind of have to just consider with it being such a kind of obscure modification. On to, does it hurt? If it's done right, it should not really hurt at all. You shouldn't even really feel it other than maybe a slight pressure. There's not many nerve endings in the eyeball itself. If anything, you might feel ink on the inside of an eyelid, which can cause a slight agitation, but it's really nothing drastic. If it's done wrong, you can have headaches, light sensitivity that will make you cry every time you step outside, tons of different issues, but that's if it's done wrong.
Maybe the scariest part about sclera tattoos isn't the needles or the ink, or even the blindness risk. Maybe it's how normal the internet made them feel. Because once algorithms start rewarding extremes, people slowly lose perspectives on what's actually dangerous. And somewhere between self-expression and shock culture, permanent eye damage become aesthetic. Doctors are still warning people about these procedures. People are still experiencing complications. And despite all of that, the trend still exists. If you made it this far, I appreciate you watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. Creators' handles are in the description box below. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.